Welcome to the Drama Queen Perspective, a podcast designed to empower, inspire, educate, and entertain. Drama Queen is a philanthropist, educator, business owner, poet, and performer. So you know you will be entertained. Find out what's trending. Get a thumbs up or thumbs down on the hottest restaurants, places, and things. And find out ways to help your business grow. And much, much more. Without further ado, here is your host, Drama Queen.
What's up? It's your girl Drama Queen coming to you with another reaction video for season 7 of 60 Days In. Today, this is the last video that we will be covering for episode 7, which was Pain, Pads, and Police, and it aired on September the 29th, 2022. If you missed the previous video with Darius and Rose, we covered the first two P's, which were pain and pads. And we've saved the last P, police, for last. So, let's go ahead and dive into this episode and talking about Carlos and his actions, reactions, and everything else involved in this episode. We're going to talk about Carlos writing a statement. We're going to talk about Nick being removed from the pod. We're going to talk about the pod gets a shakedown. Carlos is labeled as a snitch in police. And then we're also going to talk about, did Carlos really find a shank, or is he just reaching and doing too much? So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right. So, the episode starts where the young man that had a shank is getting pulled out of the cell or the pod that Carlos is in. I feel like they really did everything that they could have done besides just pushing the button and having somebody come physically remove him. I feel like they handled it the way the inmates would. They tried to put him out. He wouldn't do it. He wanted to fight. So Nicholas gave him what he wanted. The thing about it is he had all kinds of opportunities to voluntarily leave. The men were yelling, if you stay here, you're going to get your ass beat. So there should have been no questions in his mind that I need to go. So once that happens, it's Carlos's mission to get Nick back, which I understand. But the question is, could it have been handled in a different way? Or did Carlos handle it the best way he could in the situation? Let's talk about it. There is, first of all, no worse feeling than to be told to get in the yard and you know that they're getting ready to do a shakedown. It's one of the most degrading, most disrespectful feelings, knowing that all of your stuff that you have, they're going through and touching and throwing it. The stuff that they feel like is considered contraband, they're taking it. And you see the way they're throwing people's stuff. I hated shakedowns. And it's like, dang, dude. I call him Shank Boy. Shank Boy, this is what they were trying to avoid by getting you out. And then you now have caused even more trouble because now people are getting ready to lose potential things that they have, like pills, broken books, weapons, all of that. It's not a good feeling. If he would have just left, I feel like the gentleman would not be in this situation. There's nothing you can do in the shakedown but just watch them throw your stuff around. It's not a good feeling. This is when I think a lot of stuff kind of gets real for the COs because they're finding out that inmates are not taking their medicine. these are inmates that really need their medicine, and they're holding it because we had the pill police or earlier in the season trading pills for food. So of course you're going to have people that are, holding on to their pills. They also found extra trays of food, broken books, but after a thorough search, according to the correctional officers and staff, no more shanks were found. They did ask, which I don't know. I kind of feel like a lot of stuff in that episode was done on purpose, but maybe not. I feel like they did ask everybody, like, out in the open, if anyone wanted to document what happened about the Shank situation, to see who was going to be bold enough to step up, because clearly if they are working in the criminal justice system, they know the rules, the unwritten rules, the written rules. They know, the COs know all of that. So I almost feel like it was kind of a setup to see, okay, well, who's gonna do this. I feel like I understand that Carlos's mission was to get Nick back, because Nick really didn't do anything. He was trying to protect everyone in the pod and was trying to get the shank out. However, there are always more than one way to handle a situation. And so this is one of the reasons why it took me so long to do this reaction video, is because I wanted to really sit and marinate on what I would do to be in the situation, because a lot of people think they know what they would do, but unless you're in that situation, you really don't know. So I think that Carlos was too eager, too quick. However, I did hear someone in the back else that was in the background say that they saw the whole thing, but they don't step up to write a statement. Now, I can see me, Shanese, season 6 participant in Etowah County Detention Center, that's never been in jail, that's never been to prison, that really doesn't know the unwritten rules, eagerly raising my hand and wanting to make a statement. But I can see how the inmates are now looking at him a little suspiciously, because here you are, you have this gentleman in here, nobody knows who he is, and he's gained a little bit of clout, a little bit of notoriety, and now he's writing this statement. Inmate Philip was pissed. Philip said people don't take too kindly to inmates writing statements because they think you are the police and that the inmates are against the police. Like, dude, we are in jail, so why would we help them do their job? He feels like they got cameras, so let them do their job and watch the footage. I get where Philip is coming from. However, I understand why Carlos wanted to get Nicholas back in the pod. It was a little confusing because, we talked about everybody's a pawn, even Nicholas. And so I feel like Carlos felt bad. I feel like it wasn't Carlos's fault that Nicholas responded the way he did, but maybe Carlos felt a little bit inkling, a little sense of responsibility. Even though he didn't push the button right then and there, he knew that Nicholas would do any and everything for him to protect him, because Nicholas had, been around him, and he knew that Carlos basically told him, I'm gonna make sure you're fed. So it's another unwritten rule. You make sure I'm fed, I got your back. So I do feel like it was kind of a situation where, for me, I would not have reacted that way. I think I would have likely tried to, and again, I don't know for sure what I would do because I'm not in that situation. But just thinking through, knowing myself and being in jail before, I think what I would have done, because I just wouldn't want to be labeled as a snitch. I wouldn't want everyone in my business, is I would have given the signal and probably asked, hey guys, what's the best way for me to get this? Because I want to get Nicholas out. And they may not have had the answer. The thing about it is, every season with the producers and the A&E, every season they're going to have situations that they've never dealt with, because you have different groups of people. You have a different set of jail, different set of issues, different set of personalities, different set of problems. So they may not have had an answer, but it would have not made him look so guilty. Kimchi was pissed. He had his arms crossed, and he was not feeling the snitching aspect of what he felt like Carlos did. Originally, it looked like when Carlos, after he gave the statement, and when Nick came back, it felt like at first Carlos was the only one that was happy. Like, he started clapping, and I'm like, dude, you doing way too much. You are really bringing attention to yourself. One of the things that I try to do in season 6 of 60 Days In, because I know I have a big personality, I know that I can bring attention to myself just because of my mouth and who I am, is I try to lay low. They did not show it that way, but there are some videos that A&E has, like extra footage, where they wanted to do like a tour of my room. I got to step in. I let Tiffany do the tour of the room. I did not want to bring too much attention to myself, because I already knew I was an unfamiliar face in an unfamiliar territory with all of these damn cameras out, and everybody was already on edge. Everybody was already suspicious, and people were questioning what is going on in this jail. Why do we have these cameras? And everybody was already suspicious. I did not want to do anything else to bring attention to myself. That's me and my personality. People did start dapping up and greeting Nicholas when he came in, even those who refused to support him by writing a statement. Maximo said that it's an unwritten rule that you don't talk to 12, which 12 is another name for police. It's funny because just like in real life, in the jail, in 2.5 seconds, you see Carlos go from leader to a perceived snitch. I just kept thinking, Carlos better watch his back, his front, and all of his sides, because I don't know. I think this just got people looking at him a little differently. So when Carlos made the decision to write the statement in front of everyone, my stomach drops. I'm just like, I just feel the tension. But again, being a participant on season 6 of 60 Days In, I know that they're only showing the most dramatic moments. So it could have been, a lot of time in between this. We don't know exactly what happens. And so that is why I like doing my reaction videos, because I try to think about it from a participant standpoint And I try to think about it from an audience standpoint, the viewer standpoint. So, Nicholas realizes that, he's back. And Nicholas realized that, oh boy, they talking crap about my boy. So he puts his shoes back on, and I'm like, I'm on edge, because one of the things I learned, you put them shoes on, like, that means you probably about to fight. So I was like, oh God. And, when he went down there, when Carlos went to the table where they were playing, I think, cards or whatever, and, confronted him, and he's like, somebody was like, the difference between me and him is that he's a criminal. Oh, that was Carlos. And he's like, and I'm a convict. Here's the craziest part about it, y'all. This is how I know, or think I know, that I got a little bit of ADHD, because as this, argument and the tension is rising, y'all, you know what I was thinking? Well, Carlos. I wonder, how tall are you? Like, I literally was thinking that. He goes ham on the entire dorm. And he's like, I am a lion in the jungle. I am the one that is going to roar. And he roared. He did. He roared. But part of me feels like that's just Carlos's personality. I feel like Carlos can be reactive. I feel like Carlos can be impulsive. I feel like another part of me feels like, maybe is this Carlos trying to do too much for TV? I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a combination of both, because when Carlos starts looking for Shanks, this is kind of when my thought process about Carlos turns around. So I understand his mind and his thought process when he said, hold on, I didn't have to squat and cough in intake, so I'm concerned of what weapons might be in this jail. Got it. Makes 100% sense. But I felt like Carlos was reaching. I did. I feel like Carlos was so proud that he found this shank that really wasn't a shank. Now, Carlos does think like an inmate. So what he was thinking is, this is not necessarily a shank, but it can be used to be a shank by an inmate, because other people that are in here are thinking like an inmate. But again, I would not have reacted that way. What I would have done, given the signal, and say, hey, just FYI, I was looking to see if there were some additional shanks. I didn't see any, but I did see some things that can be considered potential contraband weapons, shank, all of that. Because what happens if there's a handicapped person that goes in there and needs that handle, and then it's not there because you've destroyed property in the jail? Was it really a shank, Carlos, or was it a handle? I feel like it was a handle, and Carlos was reaching. I know Carlos wants to make everyone proud. Carlos wants to be the one that completes his mission, but there is a such thing as team too much. There is a such thing as team too much. And in my personal opinion, Carlos did not locate no shank. Sorry. I felt like it could have been handled differently. I feel like everything on this episode could have been handled differently. Now, let me, before y'all get in my shit, Because when I posted some stuff on Instagram to prepare for this, people were like, oh no, he's not the police. I understand that when you're in a situation, you do things differently. I understand I have not been locked up in a federal prison. I understand that I don't think like an inmate. I think like a civilian. I understand all of that. But I also know that you have to be strategic when you're in situations like that, because I was in there. I was in jail. I helped break up fights, which that's not my normal MO at all. In jail, if you're going to fight. But I had to be strategic on the things that I did. I got into it with my roommate. We had words, all of that. But you have to know that every action that you do is going to cause a reaction, especially when you are an unfamiliar face in an unfamiliar territory. I felt like Carlos was reaching with the shank. I do. So, looking at the thumbnail, Carlos wrote a statement. I feel like I understand why he did that. I felt like it could have been done differently. Nick was removed from the pot. I understand people are angry because this is what they were trying to keep from happening. And now people are losing their contraband, things that they know are contraband and things that they may not be aware is contraband. Carlos gets labeled a snitch to the police. I understand both aspects. The thing about it is, I feel like if Carlos has your back, he has your back, and he's going to go through anything by any means necessary to show you that he has your back, even if it's maybe not the best way, and maybe if it's even a little potentially reckless. Did Carlos find a shank, or is he reaching? I think my boy is reaching. I think he's reaching. I think Carlos, I hope for episode 8 that I don't have to have my Tums, because between Trinity and her milkshake bringing all the girls to the yard, Rose and her health issues and fighting through, Darius and his game board and the officer turning off the TV, Carlos wanting to write a mission and going off on everybody and letting them know that he's the lion and he got to roar. They had my stomach on bubble guts. So hopefully I can get a little rest on the next episode of season 8. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this video and podcast. And make sure that you tune in for the next reaction video for episode 8 of season 7 of 60 Days In. Drama Queen is out.
Thanks for listening to the Drama Queen Perspective. Be sure to like and subscribe this podcast and share with the drama queens in your life. Until next time, this has been the Drama Queen Perspective.